independent girl. Put your hand in the air and swirl. Make the moves so you can run the world. We be independent girls. Ajantha. Not too many brothers.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Our Mind on Music. This is Season 2, Episode 23, which is actually Episode 49 overall. Hard to believe that next week we'll be doing Episode 50. This week I'm speaking with a singer, songwriter, musician, producer, actor, dancer, multi-talented Ajantha. Ajantha is speaking to us today from Los Angeles, and I'm really excited to share with you her story of how she's been developing her career in all of those things that I've just listed. I hope you enjoy the conversation. Here's Ajantha.
Well, I have a new single coming out the beginning of June, so I'm pretty excited about. If anybody wants to know about my music style, it's think of like Janet Jackson with a Rihanna flavor. Every song is different. It's a different style, but it's what I like. You know, it's kind of pop with world flavors, I would say also.
Say call my line, yeah.
Because I was listening to a bunch of your songs and I like the sound like that, just those sort of the rhythms and stuff like that, and then your own take on it. I really enjoyed that. And then I heard you did a couple of cover versions, like you did a Gregory Isaac song.
Yeah, some 80s reggae covers. Night Nurse, Telephone Love, Champion Lover, Turn the Lights Down Low.
Turn your lights down low and pull your window curtains. Oh, let your moon come shining in.
Some good vibes there. New music, but covers. Obviously, they're the original creators.
Yeah.
That's where it started. But like I said, I release singles. I don't release albums because I feel like singles these days make more sense for artists that's starting out.
Mhm.
Plus, all my songs are super different. Like, you know, Handle It has like a pop reggaeton rap vibe versus Independent Girls is more like a pop reggae vibe. Call My Line is more reggae R&B. I have a song called Playdate, which is 90s R&B vibes. So every song is slightly different. The new song that I'm coming out with in June is pop with piano. So every song, if it's different, but it is think of Janet Jackson with Rihanna flavors and world vibes.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, you know, you're the second artist who I've interviewed who has said that you don't release albums, you release singles. So I
Yeah.
interviewed Lorenza Wildcard, who is a singer, songwriter, and she was saying the same thing. In fact, her using the name Wildcard is that because she's like, I don't go in saying I'm this type of artist and I'm therefore going to release an album of songs like that. She goes in, she picks up her guitar or however, like whatever her process is for that song, which
Yeah.
is different per song as well. And she says, this is what I feel right now. So that's what I'm putting out.
Yeah, that's the same. It's the same for me. And I you know, it gives you the freedom to just create and release what you feel at the moment. Like I have a Christmas song that's completely like R&B pop. It's super like that would not have fit in the style of if I would have just released an album. But that's what I wanted to release. So therefore it's a single.
Christmas Love.
Christmas. There was a time when Santa Claus, he missed my grip at Christmas. So moms and pops, they made it right. Show me love, they showed me life. This is the time, yeah, for sharing all the joy and happiness that we receive at Christmas. There was a time.
Yeah, that actually got placed on 2 curated Spotify playlists, so that was really exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the responses to your songs. This is, I think, just on YouTube, and like, so Christmas Love got 34,000 views over the last year. Handle It, almost 49,000.
Here we go now. Can you handle it? Can you handle it? Can you handle it? I like that. Can you handle it? Ajantha. Handle it? Can you handle it? Can you handle it? Can you handle it? Can you move? Can you handle? Have you walking on your knees? I'm just so scandalous. the kitchen where the heat
You're getting a
It's
great
growing nicely. It's growing nicely. It was pretty cool to have it being placed on official playlist and have like over 100,000 streams because people like it, you know.
Absolutely.
But it's work every day. You can't release a song and just be like, oh,
Done.
you know, done. No, it's work every, then the real work starts. But I'm happy people receive it the way they are and that they're excited about it. My music is just about empowerment and lifting other people up. That's what I'm about.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I mentioned Lorenzo Wildcard. I would be remiss not to mention that she released a new single this weekend, May 10th, called Rise and Ride.
I did want to find out, like, how did you find my music?
I'm pretty sure I was trying to remember that actually, because it was a while ago, but I think what it was I saw you on like Instagram and I was like, I just liked the sound of the music and I was like, oh, that's cool. But like Independent Girls, I liked, like I said, the look of the video. I liked how you made the connections to it. So then I started to look a little further. And then I saw that you mentioned Dolby Atmos. For me, definitely I was like, oh my goodness, I would love to talk to this person about what you know about that and learn a little bit more and help other people learn. I mean, so somebody asked me once, what is Our Mind on Music about? And I think part of it is talking to people like yourself who are industry insiders, I'll say, and you have a lot of knowledge about music, about the recording process, but I don't want it to be just people who are musicians and industry people watching this. I hope that the way that we're speaking here creates a bridge so that the people who are just music enthusiasts and music lovers get a chance to have a better understanding of what they're listening to and sort of bridge that gap. So
I think that's really cool, yeah, to have that bridge. There are a lot of episodes specifically geared towards musicians or producers. Obviously they have a lot for general public, so if you can connect that bridge, I think it creates a nice audience. And what you are, I watched obviously quite a few of your episodes and every conversation is super different. You have a wide diversity of people on your show, so that's really cool. So there's something for everybody to like.
Yeah, really, that's like that's the way I see music. I'm a music teacher, but I'm also a musician. I'm a huge fan of lots of things, like hearing you talk about Atmos is exciting for me, and then seeing that you are visibly getting excited talking about it is like, you know what I mean? I think I love that. That's so awesome.
I also got into the production side and audio engineering as an artist. I wanted to make sure that my music portrays who I am, and to be able to convey that, I realized I need to learn also all the other aspects behind the scenes. And there's not really much female representation in the audio engineering world. So me being able to know the technology, know how it works, was very crucial to be able to also then get the music out in the way how I needed to get out, the quality of it and the style and direction.
That's really interesting. Even as a male, from a very early age, I started to think what you just said. Like, if I'm going to put something out there, I want it to be like really expressing what I'm thinking, what my vision is,
To be able to convey the terms and technology, you need to know about it.
Yeah, I totally connect with that. I saw you posting about commenting on the Dolby Atmos technology. And Honestly, I'm a total newbie in terms of my development of understanding of what exactly that is. But I did an interview with a producer, musician, author who goes by the name of Jerry B. He
Yeah, I
has
saw that. Yeah,
okay. Oh, that's right. I shared it to you. Yeah, it was a while
yeah.
ago.
I saw. Yeah, no, but I saw it. I went to look at it.
He is totally into this, and he's started to release music in that format. And when I saw that you were talking about it, I was like, hey, I know what that is. And
A sigh of relief. Yeah.
and I just thought it'd be really interesting because you are like heavily committed to this technology. Like, I mean, that's your house you're sitting in. That's amazing. Like, I did watch the video that you did on your website about setting all that up and the many, many, many boxes coming in and the many boxes
Oh yeah,
going out.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
It was funny when you were avoiding saying the name of your DAW that didn't use Atmos, that you couldn't use. Because Jerry B said the same thing. He was like, he had this DAW that he'd been using for years and he loved it, but it was worth it to make the changeover.
We were using Luna. I loved Luna. I was really happy with Luna, which is Universal Audio's DAW.
Mhm.
But then we just had to go to Pro Tools.
Right.
And now, like I think Jerry said, he was using Studio One. So Studio One, Logic, Pro Tools, a lot of DAWs are now incorporating it. So,
Yeah.
I had my first Atmos experience back in, I think it was 2014. Yes, it was 2014 when Dolby invited us for a presentation at one of the Pro Audio locations here on the East Coast. Fast forward a month to 6 weeks, I had an Atmos system installed in my den. And it was very interesting. Nobody could sleep because I played everything so loudly, and back then it was mainly for movies, so I had fun. I really enjoyed it. The equipment necessary to set up a Dolby Atmos system is quite unique. There were many, 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 many boxes coming in and just as many boxes going out. My first major disappointment was that my DAW of choice does not support Dolby Atmos. So, I am now successfully using the industry standard.
So I do know some of that journey because you said that you had decided that, I guess, in 2019 or beginning of 2020, just before COVID hit. And then that whole thing was kind of shut down. So even that video that you made actually was like in 2022, I believe.
Was it 2022? It was for Focusrite, the music equipment manufacturer.
Mm-hmm.
The years go by so fast because you have that COVID period, and that automatically like takes
Erases
2
3
years
years.
out of the
Yeah.
whole thing.
Well, if you're here in China, it erases 4 years. So I know what you mean.
It's like, did I see you recently? Oh, then it must have been before COVID. It's always like those. It's always automatically okay. Then I've seen you last 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, we started into, what's interesting, I think it was 2014 or 15, we were invited to buy Dolby Atmos to a private event where they showcase Dolby Atmos for movies, systems that you can have in your house, but have the Dolby surround, the 3D sound, like when you go to the movies and have the sound all around you.
Yeah.
That's what showcasing in 2014-15. So I had it at my house since that time, but it was never for music. I'm aware that they started to create technology for 5.1, but it never really got anywhere. And then in 2019, was it maybe, when Apple released an article that they were going to incorporate spatial audio. Now, Apple uses spatial audio, but Dolby is the company that developed the technology. So it's Dolby Atmos music but it's also reference to spatial audio because that's what Apple uses.
Are
Once
they
I
actually the same
realized
thing with different names, or is there like a meaningful difference?
there's not, I mean, sonically there is a difference, but for the general public, there's technically no difference.
Okay.
It just Apple, um, Apple has their own terms for things, so it's just Apple's way of saying music in 3D, I would say.
Okay.
So, but when I realized that Apple started backing this technology for music, I was like, this is not going anywhere. It really is getting this major push to have music now mixed in 3D space. And we were one of the first studios on the East Coast to be Dolby recognized. And it was really quite the process to get it incorporated into your studio. It was, like I said, many, many, many boxes came in and many, many boxes came out because
Yeah.
there was a handful of engineers that were at the same time trying to figure out and technology and to be able to listen back what you're mixing, how does it translate. um it just kept changing week by week. Like you needed to use a receiver or like this interface, or you need to use Apple TV, or like you can't listen back to it. You're not even able to listen back to how you're mixing. How are you even gonna know when you release something before you release it? How can you, baby, if I mix a song for you in China, how are
Mhm.
you able to really hear what I'm mixing for you without you having a whole system? It was really an experience, and I can only relate this to listening to audio engineers and producers that were really mixing in the 80s and 70s and even 90s, but working with Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, Celine Dion, the major artists,
Right.
Stevie Wonder, like the major artists of that time,
Wow.
and hearing the stories about how they had to work with tape and Neve consoles, how intricate these sessions were, and days and days and days of mixing and recording, and like, I don't know, this is a sidestep, but I don't know if you saw recently Netflix released a documentary with Lionel Richie about the song We Are the World. Did you happen to see it?
No, no, I did. No, I.
With Quincy Jones and the
Mhm.
whole process, how that song was created. It was a new point of view. Um, Anyways, I'm trying to go there because I wasn't there in that time, but I get that excitement of people, how they were able to connect and how they had to create music. And Dolby Atmos music is the first technology in my life that I can be like, wow, this is so a 180 turn of excitement and new technology that you can experience and can get you excited again about music. To hear it in a different way, I'm just, when I talk about it, I get excited because it's just like, it's amazing. And you, as a person, like you, the general public, I would say, that
Mhm.
is not an audio engineer, that doesn't have all these speakers around,
Mhm.
can hear this now in headphones. In like headphones via your phone, you can like listen on Apple Music or Amazon Music or Tidal and say, I want to hear this song in spatial audio, and I can experience music now in 3D space.
So how do I
Even
even? I didn't even know that until right now because
Mhm.
the, uh, I will let you go back to because I just cut you off again. Sorry, but because Jerry and I were talking about that, he was like, because he was doing his, he was having music of his, some of it older music that he was giving the tracks to Across the Road Studios, I believe it's called. I'm not sure if you're familiar
Mhm.
with them, but and they were going to remix it, translate it into Dolby Atmos format. And Jerry was like, "This is super exciting, but I actually don't have the equipment to listen to it. I have to go there to like hear it." But you're saying that I could just hear it like, do I have to get specially equipped headphones to do this, or it's just like I don't understand.
I would well, you wouldn't I would suggest to get specific headphones that have the Apple T2 chip in it. So the newer AirPods, the little buds, the white ones. I really like the AirPod Pro Maxes that go overhead.
Okay.
I know Samsung has a few headphones that are specifically made to be able to listen for Dolby Atmos, to be able to hear music in Dolby Atmos. So you do not need 12, 16, however many speakers in your house, or have to go to a studio, to be a Dolby Atmos studio in your location, to be able to QC, listen back to what the audio engineer did for you. We can now send you a file. You'll be able to download it on your phone, listen with the headphones. You will get the representation of what it will sound like.
Wow. That's crazy. Okay.
Yeah, and on your iPhone, sadly, it does have to be a newer phone. I don't want to just say iPhone. Our system is mainly Apple, but I have Samsung phones. So I'm Android on my phones, and I have Apple on my mixing systems. So you would need to have a newer phone, sadly though. But then you go into the phone and say, I want to have it always on. If a mix is mixed for Dolby Atmos or spatial audio, it will play in that technology, and you will just be able to hear it. And you will feel like you're right there.
That's amazing. Well, that's again, I keep on going back to that. My only reference to any of this technology before speaking with you was my conversation with Jerry. And thanks to him, I started researching this, and I think thanks to that is how I am speaking with you right now.
Yeah, I mean it's so exciting, and you're a music teacher now, and but if you have any music that you would like me to hear, if there's like a song or something you were like, oh, I would really love to have this maybe mixed in Atmos, maybe we can set up something to just have you hear and experience one of your songs in 3D, so you're able to see, okay, this is what it is. Now I can actually, because you know your music, right?
Yeah.
You know what it's about. So to be able to hear that in a different dimension,
As soon
you'll
as
really
you said that, I wrote a song maybe about 2 years ago called "Birth of a Star," and it's instrumental, and it's kind of like prog rock, I guess is the
Okay.
best way I could describe it. But I would love to hear that. Like, I took like a National Geographic video of the birth of a star. So it's not the birth of like a rock star or something. It's literally
A star.
A star. You know, it would be awesome to be able to hear that with all the sounds. Yeah.
All right, let's check it out. That would be cool.
Awesome. Okay, I'll share it with you. Thank you.
A lot of catalog music is being mixed now in Dolby Atmos. Like there's one Luther Vandross concert at Carnegie Hall. And when you listen to that in Dolby Atmos, it's impossible for you to not get excited.
Wow.
Like you hear Earth, Wind and Fire. I think Queen is mixed in Dolby Atmos. We have the original stems for Michael Jackson Rock With You, to be able to, mix that in Dolby Atmos. It's just so amazing to hear that music from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, now in Dolby Atmos, and obviously new music. We always compare it to, like, you would go to the movies and you hear like bombs going off in the back, or birds going around you, or the rain falling around you. You hear those things when you go to the movies, and now to be able to hear drums and snares and strings and like other percussions, or like background vocals go around you. Now, mind you, there's a technology to it. You can't just place everything everywhere, because you can also make a person dizzy. So you need to learn the technology and the way to properly mix in this format. But as an artist, you can now create also new music and be like, oh, you know what? For the Atmos mix, I would like to add these background vocals there, or maybe these harmonies there, or I want to add, I don't know, they say more cowbell, like a little bit of cowbell in the right speaker in the back, So
yeah,
you can create with that mindset. And soon, I know for a fact with Apple, if you do not provide a Dolby Atmos mix, you will not be considered for their curated playlist. So independent artist or an artist just starting out, that might be a hurdle to get your music mixed in Dolby Atmos. But for anybody that is listening and that is in the music industry starting out, doesn't matter how far you are, if you're in the beginning stages, if you want to release music, you need to seriously look at also having your music mixed in Dolby Atmos.
Wow.
Sometimes to even be given a chance to a curated playlist, which is
Wow.
already different to begin with.
Right. I mean, I'm thinking three different things right now as you're talking. So the first thing was that, like, from my reference point, the fact that we're talking about this thing that I'm really having trouble actually wrapping my head around what that experience is. Like, I know what you're saying, like there's sound coming from here, here, and here. I get that, like, conceptually, but actually to, like, I haven't experienced it, so I don't know exactly. Like, you can tell somebody that this food is salty, but if they've never had salt, they don't know exactly what that means, you know?
Yeah, no, I do know what you mean. I always just say, that's why I always reference the movie, because most people have gone to the movie theater and then hear the rumbles from the floor,
Right,
or hear somebody closing a door behind because a person comes walking through a door that's technically behind the character in the movie.
right,
Now or to like say, okay, most people have been able to go see a concert or a ballet or a play where you watching at something, you're looking at something,
yeah,
but now you're technically are in it.
right,
You are in the orchestra, you are in the band, and you hear like everything up close. And even though I say around you, that could be really mysterious, but it's like you're in the band itself. And
right.
if you have I think you said you had a band yourself.
Mhm.
um it's like how you are on stage, that's how everybody else that's looking at you will be able to hear
That's
your
amazing.
music now.
So that brings me to my second thing, because, like, I you might have seen the Maria Callas hologram concert that was conducted by Emer Noon.
I didn't see it, but I did hear about it.
I mean, I haven't gone to see those shows, but I just saw a video of it and I was commenting on it on my YouTube channel. I'd love to go see that. So the potential of now integrating Atmos into that, so that not only do you see Maria Callas, who passed away several years ago, standing on stage in front of you, and the real orchestra there, and Emer Noon, who has developed into this incredible conductor, to integrate Atmos into that experience. So not only are you seeing that, but also you feel like you're sitting, like you said, like in the pit. Like, if you feel like you're sitting beside the violin, like
Yeah, I
the
mean, they have
potential.
the Sphere in Las
Mhm.
Vegas where U2 is playing right
Yeah,
now. That
yeah.
technology becomes now from you. It's interesting because but people say, oh, it was in movies first. It's almost like, well, why wasn't it for music as well? But for music, it's different technology. So now to be able to go to actual, like you said, but what you're describing, but also to go to concerts now and hear it in a different way,
Mhm.
in Dolby Atmos, is you're not looking at something anymore. You are in it now.
You're in it.
Um, it's an experience and excitement that people in the industry are having at this time. I know that it's still growing for the general public,
Mhm.
but it's growing and growing and growing. And because huge corporations are backing this technology now, it is not going anywhere.
Yeah, it's very real. That was
It's
what Jerry
not
said
going to
months
disappear.
ago. Yeah,
Yeah, it's not going to disappear. Before, you could have said like, okay, there's no translation into headphones. How do we translate it for people that don't, have all these speaker systems, or that, can't afford all this stuff? We
right.
need to translate for people that can hear on their AirBots. Like certain cars are now having this technology also built into the car. Like it's gonna be more and more and more. And there are now sound bars. You can buy a sound bar, like one speaker that you have in front of the TV that is now created to give that technology, and you'll being able to hear it coming around you.
Right. I mean,
So
like Bose speakers back again, I'm going back to the 80s for some reason, but
Mhm.
80s, 90s, like those Bose speakers that were already doing something similar, like not nearly the experience that you're describing, but I'm just saying, like, by comparison to everything else that was out there, they were like $1,000 speaker that you would get for your house, and it filled the room with sound, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, but that's a very real thing. Like, technology can be awesome, but if nobody can access it and nobody's backing it, then it doesn't matter, you know? Lots of technologies have lived short lives because nobody backed it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same as like what we were discussing earlier about, like, if you release a song, you can't just release a song and just expect it to go anywhere. You have to work for it to get it somewhere.
Right,
Same with technology. You can have the technology, but if nobody, if no, like I said, if nobody backs it, then where is it going? Nowhere.
right. And one thing that you said, that it is one of the things with any technology, there are responsibilities and there are downsides and things that we have to consider, you know. And for new artists coming up who, like you said, like, it's already, you go on Spotify, you're not going to get paid.
You
If
get
you're
like
not, then I'm,
0.003 cents or something per
yeah.
stream.
Billy Corgan for Smashing Pumpkins was talking about that. He was like, you listen to Bob Dylan on Spotify, he's not getting paid much for that. Like, if Bob Dylan's not getting paid, so
You need to
my
be named Taylor Swift that got 1 billion streams within the first few days to be able to
yeah,
get really
and then she'll get
paid.
paid, but not nearly like the success that some of these musicians have now would be record breaking back in when we had physical copies of things. Like Snoop Dogg talked about this when he used to
Mhm.
sell CDs, and he got paid a lot more for a lot less sales. Like, his
But
portion of
yeah,
it was a lot more.
yeah, I kind of compare it to the people that were recording back in the day needed to have huge amount of money to be able to release an album.
Hmm.
Michael Jackson couldn't just release an album and don't have backing of millions of dollars. It
Right,
was costing a lot of money to record because the people really had to learn the skills. It was time consuming. If you didn't know how the equipment worked, you wouldn't be able to get a job. So I see it as kind of Dolby Atmos, a new technology that requires that amount of skill set to be able to get your music sounding great. And it will probably cost you more money that you need to invest in it. The way to make money as an artist these days is showcasing dimension, not just in music, but also your other interests and performing live. Now,
right.
performing live has been a thing, a money-making thing for a while. It's not just recent. I feel like it's been for a while that has been merchandise, and touring has been the money-making thing versus people buying your music, because I feel like people stopped buying CDs for like a long time now.
Yeah.
Everybody was downloading already, and then recently it became streaming. So any industry is difficult if you want to be really good at it. And the entertainment industry is also not fair. They say you need to have at least $250,000 and up to be able to get a #1 hit on Billboard. If you don't have that amount of money, you need to be really, really, really creative in different ways, with a podcast, with YouTube shorts, with showcasing your pets or cooking other interests, because it cannot just be your music alone. So anybody that is an indie artist that doesn't have a lot of money needs to find creative ways to get their music mixed in Atmos. And it might be just bartering services.
Mm.
Maybe you can provide something to those people that those people need to be able to get, a service in return. And a lot of engineers also charge less for indie artists. If
Yeah.
you're backed by Sony, we will charge you a different rates because there's a different marketing machine behind you versus, um, my cat Binky around the corner that doesn't have that backing. I would say, well, for you, I'll charge you X because I understand what you're going through, but it
Right.
does require, I do have to mention with this new technology, you can have also awful mixes. And the
Mm.
general public is aware when a mix sounds good and when a mix doesn't sound good. They might not know exactly why it's not good or why it is good, but they will hear the difference.
Right.
So you mixing Dolby Atmos just on your headphones is not going to work. You can start with mixing in headphones. You need to use headphones during the whole process of mixing in Dolby Atmos, but you cannot finish a mix only on headphones and expect the sonic quality to be superb. You
Right.
will need a professional audio engineer that is really trained into mixing in this technology. So it does require that. I had to mention that because people in the industry think they can cut some corners, but you can't if you want your music to be up to par and sonically great, just like Taylor Swift's music or Bad Bunny's music or anybody else that's Doja Cat's music, anybody else that's popular in the industry that you like a lot.
Right. And that's not new. I mean, like I was thinking like when we used to record on the reel-to-reel tape, we also used to do comparative, like it was much more lo-fi, much more hands-on. I remember every studio at least in Toronto, every studio in Toronto had Yamaha NS10 speakers.
No, yeah, I've heard of those.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and everybody had them in their studios, like the best studios in that you could go into.
Yeah.
And they had these little terrible speakers, and people would say, why do you have those? And it's like, because majority of people, when they listen to their music, when they get home from work and they walk into their apartment, that's what they're going to be listening through.
Yeah. Yeah.
We actually would we'd mix it down to cassettes. And I think I'm laughing at myself for this, but we'd take the cassette and we'd go out into the parking lot and we'd sit in somebody's car and we'd put the cassette in the car and we'd listen to it like that. And then we'd remix based on that, how it sounded as well, because most people would be listening back then on cassettes on their way to work, so you need to know what that sounds like. So it's what you're saying is way more hi-fi and et cetera, but it's the same concept. Like I can't just mix on headphones and think, okay, everybody's going to just listen on the same headphones that I use. So we're all good, and this, so yeah, what you're saying makes a lot of sense. And it's a whole new skill set that you have to learn. Like before we were just doing, or for me still, I'm just doing left, right, basically, degrees of left, right. It's two colors in my palette. Whereas for you, it's like the whole color wheel,
Yeah, I mean, how also compare it to like, you have a pound of oranges that you have to cram into like, I don't know, into like two little speakers, and now you have like this all huge amount of space where you can put the same amount of oranges, so you have way more room and space. The downside might be that you need to make sure that all the instruments and vocals have been recorded with superb quality, like distortion is going to be an issue. Very off-pitch harmonies or off-pitch vocals could become more apparent, obviously, because there's just more space, so people hear more definition of everything. So you need to make sure that in the pre-production, things are recorded properly. I just think that for the listener, it creates really an amazing experience and more of a deeper connection with the artist that they love already, or that they get to meet for the first time. They get more of a, how people want to be always, they want to know more and more about the artist that they already like, and this way they can actually feel that they are there. And if they don't maybe have the money to spend $2,000 on a concert ticket, because in America those concert tickets get really, really extremely outrageous. So for if you a lot of like yeah, so for like for example Taylor Swift, her tickets were sold out like that. And a lot of people had to go to the movie theater to experience her concert. Now they will also be able to experience her music on a daily basis like they are at the concert. It gives the listener just an extra experience and more like of a feeling they get to know you more, which you want as an artist also. You want to be able to connect more with fans or people that are not yet fans. So that connection will only be a deeper connection. And I think that's a positive.
Like one of the things that you did with the video for Independent Girls was obviously you had all those different ladies, different women in the video, but then that was cool, right? But then you went and you interviewed those people and you talked to them about what makes you an independent girl kind of thing,
Yeah.
and each one of them with their different stories. I just thought that was so cool because now when I go back and watch the video, like the first time I watched it, I was like kind of dancing along and I was like, oh, I like the beat and the whole thing, and the look of it just looks so much fun. Like you guys had a ton of fun making that, I think.
It was intense, but it was definitely, it was fun, but it was intense.
Music is like that though, right? Like, I mean, when I put on, even I teach music here in China. And like when we're putting on a show with middle school and high school kids, for me, like it can be really intense. Like when you're trying to get the lighting and trying to get the sound guy and like all the stuff together, then at the end of the day, when you're done and you can look back at it and go, I'm so glad I did that,
Yeah. I mean, like when you said also with Independent Girls, the goal was to have all different types of women, different age, different race, different ideology. And it wasn't so much about me, yeah, I sing the song, people know about me because I sang the song, it's my song, but I wanted to highlight all these other women, strong women, powerful women.
Independent girls, put your hand in the air and swirl, make them know so that you run the world. We be independent girls. Gotta feel secure, my romantic lover, gotta let them know that I'm better undercover. He gonna tell the world I'm a damn honor. Okay. No cap, and that's that. Yes, I'm independent and I'm what you need. Still can make you bounce like a trampoline. I could close them all like a beauty queen. I can make you melt like a jelly bean. Independent girls, put your hand in the air and swirl. Make them know so that you run the world. We be independent girls. Independent girls.
Independent Girls is about celebrating women. It's about being able to reach your goals with or without help. If you get help, it's great. If you don't, then at least you won't let that stop you. It's not about you can do everything by yourself, you're better than others, and you don't need men. It's really about a collaboration. And that's what I wanted to show with Independent Girls. It doesn't matter what age you are. You can have fun and enjoy life and reach your goals no matter where you are in life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you're saying that, and I'm just kind of nodding because I read that. Like one of the things I loved as well is that even on Spotify, anywhere that you post your music, you also put a little line like this song is about this.
Yeah.
So and for that one, that was kind of what you said. I love the one for Handle It. Basically, for Handle It, you say independence is key to this song. But then on Audio Mac, it's a little more involved description of the song. It says, Handle It is a celebration of self-confidence. It is embracing uniqueness without settling for anything less than you deserve, taking charge, pushing the boundaries, a call to action. And then it goes on to describe the music itself. And I just thought that's cool. Like for somebody who's going to listen to that song, like, just the number of songs that are going out, how do you connect to that music and how does it make, that connection for you? It's not like when, at least for me, when I was a kid in the 70s and the 80s, we'd turn on the radio and they would play the same couple of songs on heavy rotation. And so just by repetition, we get to know those songs. And then out of that few songs, like, I don't know, 20 songs or whatever it was, then we decide which one we loved, Yeah. Now we're just so inundated with music. It's like there has to be another dimension to it to make it like really connect with us,
Yeah. Especially with like, I call it kind of like the fish mentality, as in like people have really only 5 to 10 seconds when they hear your song to be like, oh yes, I like this person. And then what is this person about? So give them as much information as possible with a biography or a line, what the song is about with the music, to give them a reason to click on something else that you released or that you are about on another social media channel.
Yeah. I love your Instagram because it's like you have all your music stuff, like your videos, and you show the experience in the studio, and all that's kind of cool because you get a little bit of like behind the scenes feel of that. And then the next video, as I scroll through, it's like, we're making a peanut sauce today. I'm totally trying your crispy tofu recipe. Like,
They say that like you need to keep your social media in one theme, or like just have just one topic, and I just can't, because I'm I'm not just one topic, so it might not be to my benefit, but at least I'm showing who I am.
it's funny because I've had criticism like that for my YouTube channel, because all of this stuff that I do, like the podcast itself, and then songs that I love or commentary I do on songs, all of it I put onto the one channel, even some of my own music that I create. And people said, well, no, you have to be a lot more focused and you have to be just the podcast episodes. And I was like, no, I'm focused on music. So for me, I'm at least focused on that. But for you, like, your social media felt like it was focused on people knowing you. That's the focus. It's not
Yeah.
you as this thing, or you in this compartment that people want to put you in. It's like just you.
Yeah, I mean, like that. I think every day there's at least like 50,000 tracks being uploaded to Spotify or Apple Music or Amazon Music. So I feel like these days, sadly, it cannot just be about the music. If a person connects to you, it's about your music and about you. So if I just show one dimension, I mean, people could also get very bored with it, besides the fact that nobody is one dimension.
Yeah.
But these days, you can't just have, here's my music, and that
And
just
that's
be
it.
it.
You're posting what food you love, and you're posting pictures with your cat on the treadmill. Like,
Yeah, whatever you want to share, but just at the same time also exhausting, as in like, as an artist, you have to choose, do you want to go all out or not? But you kind of have to. You can't be mysterious anymore unless you are, already an A-list artist. Then you can decide more, I don't want to showcase this anymore if you don't want to. But as a beginning artist, you kind of have to. So then you have to find a joy in it.
I think the only way that it could be sustainable for any artist, I mean, anybody, even just to make it sustainable for ourselves, forget all the other people, all the outside factors, like, it has to be, I think, sincere. And sincerity, it's one of those things that comes through whatever you do. Like, even just listening to your music, like the way that you sing a line, the choices you make, it has to come across as your personal choice. It has to come across as real. Otherwise, whether people know why or not, they'll know, it didn't feel right, didn't sort of hit right.
Yeah.
That's, I think, the way it works with the social media as well. Like, you're posting the stuff that you want people to see and know about you, and then you have to decide which things those are going to be and how far you want to go in terms of letting us behind the scenes, seeing your studio experiences and stuff like that.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I also find that's the reason why you have to release music also that fits you. Don't make music for other people, make music that you like, and then hopefully in turn other people will like that as well.
I get excited when you pass my way. Wanna be bad, tell you to come play. Shorty, sing my way, let's have a play date. Come on, sing my way, yeah. Let's take a walk where we end up okay. In the mood to get frisky all day. Shorty, sing my way, let's have a play date. Come on, sing my way. Said I need you to take me here, take me there, take me to paradise.
Yeah.
I would like to go a little bit in chronological order. Okay, so I know you've done some acting because you were in a musical back in 2004.
Was it 2004? I don't know. Yeah, it could be. I started in musical theater since I was like maybe 10 years old. I started, well, first with ballet. I grew up with going to the ballet, and then I went into musical theater. I really seriously since I was 12. So I've been doing musical theater for a long time, and then I just switched over to different departments.
Yeah, actually, you've just answered one of my questions, because I was going to ask you. I read in the bio, the one that you have on Spotify, it was talking about how you grew up just around musical theater and around the ballet and things, I guess, with your family. And so one of my questions was like, how was that? Was it like your parents are performers or producers or something? Or was it just they love that stuff?
They, especially my mom, loved the arts, and I think maybe she pulled my dad into it. And my earliest memory is being really like 4 years old, going to the National Ballet in Amsterdam, the Dutch National Ballet, and like sleeping on the stairs there because I was so tired. But I feel like we went almost every month to some type of performance, ballet, musical theater, just a play.
Wow.
And that, I mean, the level of ballet is like up here, and the Dutch National Ballet is worldwide very well known.
Yep.
So I grew up with this amazing experience, and I just kept that love. I went into like playing field hockey and tennis for like maybe 5 years, and then I just switched completely into the entertainment. And my family is a little bit in entertainment, but not as much as I am right now.
It's just they just love it, especially your mom. That's, I mean, I think to me it feels a little bit like with my kids, like when they were really small, I used to make sure, I know you're a foodie as well, so you'll appreciate this comparison. um,
Okay.
with my kids, I always tried to like have them try different foods. They didn't have to eat like a whole meal of my mom's curry or of my whatever I was making, but I wanted them to try things, because at least I think if you like are used to trying different things and knowing different things, then later on, as you develop your sense of taste, literally, and also in music, your sense of taste, like your style, it that still informs it, even though when you were little, you didn't appreciate that you were sleeping on the steps of the ballet. As you got older, you start like it sort of came out and you went, oh, wait a minute, that was super cool. Like, you don't necessarily have to get it at the moment, but the fact that your parents
Mhm.
gave you those experiences, that's I think really, really cool. It's lucky.
And I have to say to you also, like I'm adopted. So I was born in Sri Lanka,
Mhm.
and I got adopted when I was about like 2 weeks old to a month, and then moved to the Netherlands. I grew up in a Caucasian family, mainly Caucasian neighborhood, but I am colored, so it was different experience. But I grew up with Tchaikovsky and Bach and Mozart, and then going to Madonna and Queen and Sting. It was very interesting background before I actually learned about Motown and Chaka Khan and Luther Vandross and gospel. So what you're saying, you are taught certain things when you were younger, and even if you don't know about it then, you start learning about it later, and then you combine it with new experiences, and you become like all around with different cultures. And in regards to the foodie you're saying, my brother used to say to me when I was maybe 10, okay, you don't have to like it, you don't have to know it, but at least try one bite. And if you then say you don't like it, you don't ever have to eat it again.
Yeah.
So combined with that, I'm always open to learning new things.
Order. So we talked about you going to the ballet, for example, when you were really young. And then you talked about how later on you sort of realized that experience, and then you decided to go for a bachelor's degree in fine arts, right? You didn't say
Mhm.
that, sorry, but I know that that's where it developed.
Yeah, that is the case.
Um, and I'm curious. One thing I've been talking to people about for a while now. I didn't have a name for it until last week, but um, I was interviewing a teacher conductor named Taylor Tackage. He teaches here in Shenzhen, China as well. And he said, oh,
Mhm.
Michael Colgrass talks about these moments that he calls thunderbolt moments. It's where you have these like aha moments where you realize like the direction of your life, where you realize that's the person I want to marry, or those things. I'm curious, do you remember that moment where you went from being the kid sleeping on the steps by the ballet and going, can we go home now? Or to being that person who is like, yeah, this is what I want to do. I want to be part of this world of the arts and music. And so, do you remember your thunderbolt moment?
Yeah, I think there were two. One was seeing Janet Jackson's Velvet Rope tour. I found it so amazing how she had set up her whole concert with the core and the dancers, and that album was very diverse. And when I saw that concert, I was like, this seems like something that I would want to do for life. Then I had the experience to be on stage with TLC in front
Okay.
of 80,000 people, and that was like, oh, this is definitely what I want to do. And then a third one, I performed for our, well, now king in the Netherlands
Oh wow.
and
Okay.
his wife, and that was also a performance in front of like 100,000 people, and that was like, okay, this is really what I want to do. Performing, being in the entertainment industry, being in production,
Mhm.
this is my life.
Wow. Okay. That's awesome. I mean, some people when I ask, they're like, I think it was, like they're not really sure. But most people, when I ask that question, they're like, yeah, I totally know that moment that it hit me. And I
Yeah.
went, that's what I want to do. So
Yeah.
I think that's really exciting. And then from there, so you started I guess was it singing first or was it dancing first? You talked about ballet.
No, it really is. It really is. Well, yeah, ballet first, but I feel that it was maybe musical theater as a whole.
Okay.
Even though I started in ballet dancing, the real joy came out of musical theater first.
Okay. So the musical that I found, it's probably not the only thing you did, but it was called, I'm gonna say this wrong, the Seven Sprung. Seven
Yeah, it's
Sprung?
pretty good. The Zevenprong.
Seven
That
Sprung.
was the
Okay.
first professional hired musical theater job that I got. I mean, I did musical theater, so we did Grease and Footloose, Dreamgirls. But I want to say the Zevenprong was the first one that was a national tour, and it was a small cast, so you got to learn all the ins and out really from up close, and the attention was just on like
Oh,
10
yeah.
people touring the Netherlands. And that was also actually the last musical theater job that I did, because I was like, this is not for me. Even though it was very fun and a very great experience. It was a small cast, but the
Uh-huh.
production was big.
Massive.
So
Oh, okay.
it was interestingly enough with cast members that were on national television already and had, major TV shows. So it was
Oh,
uh they were looking for a specific person that could dance and sing and act, but mainly also dancing, that could play also a cat. There was two characters, a person and then something else. And for me, it was the character as a girl, as a
mhm.
woman, but also as a cat. So I knew the choreographer, and she specifically requested me, you need to hire her because she would be perfect for it. So it was like all things came together, and it was a perfect like storm, I guess, for me to be able to do this job.
Yeah. It's interesting too, isn't it? Because then once you have that moment that you say, okay, this is what I want to do, and then you start doing it, you're like, okay, that's like it gets more specific, and you have to know really what does that mean? Like what does that look like?
It's a culture and meant for people that are really finding the joy in doing that on an ongoing basis. I have a lot of friends that do musical theater, go from one musical into one musical, and they love that. It just
Mhm.
wasn't for me. I
Yeah.
loved that experience, but I knew, okay, now what am I going to do next? It
Right.
was a great experience. It was, I want to say, one in a million type of experience that I was able to do.
Would you say that that influenced your decision to go into the production side of things? Like all that you do with the production engineering, all that stuff, was that, or how did that happen? That maybe is a better way to ask this.
That actually happened a little bit later, because during the musical theater time, I realized I wanted to do more commercial work and commercial hip hop dancing, singing. So after musical theater, I first went into professional hip hop dancing for TV shows with A-list artists, into singing, into acting for commercials. And then I started to connect with people that were behind the scenes. Okay. When I was hired for as an actor on a commercial, I started to learn, okay, oh, this is what camera people do. This is how the audio works. This is how the lighting works. And then when I got it to New York, I really got to connect with people that work in the audio industry and produce And I was like, okay, I really like this industry as well. So it came a little later.
Okay.
I first started to perform still, and then I got my interest got into the behind the scenes.
Okay. All right, that's cool. And I mean, actually, it was a connected question because I noticed in your videos you do dancing. You have a lot of dance. Dancing is like very much integrated into that.
Jump on time to settle. I'ma make your head bang like heavy metal. I'ma get you boiling hot like a kettle. I'ma take your heartbeat to another level. Level, level, level,
Handle It was choreographed by Cristina Benedetti, who, right? And I was
Yeah.
just, I was wondering about that. I think I know the answer to this, but I'll ask anyway. Like for you, how much of that was your own decision, and how much was that the music that you make? It is a part of that.
Why, like,
You already
it's
did dance.
because of musical theater, I was also trained in dancing, all styles, tap, jazz, modern, ballet, hip hop. When I came to America, I was with the #1 talent agency for dance, which is Block Talent Agency. So to be able to get into that agency, you have to be like a A-list type of dancer. So I already dancer on the commercial side of what you see in commercials and TV and with when you see artists perform.
Okay.
So I knew how to dance. I knew how to do choreography. Cristina Benedetti is a friend of mine. She's a great choreographer on the West Coast, originally from Italy. So for Handle It, I could have done the choreography myself, but I knew her style, and I think her style would have been a great combination with that music. And it was a decision, okay, in this break, I want to do choreography. Let's ask Cristina and have her create it. And then together we touched it up, and that became the end result that you see in Handle It.
Ah,
But it
okay.
was my decision. Dancing is part of my life, so it's not a chore, I would say.
Yeah. Well, just that. I mean, now that you've explained from the beginning of the story, actually, it totally makes sense. Yeah.
Even for the simplest left right step, you might need a choreographer to help you place those steps at the right words or the right section of the music. It's
Yeah.
part of being, I feel like it's part of being an artist. Like even Mariah Carey never dances, Celine Dion never dances. They're amazing singers. You know, they're almost no better singers than Celine Dion, but they still have to move from left to right on the stage, and they might need some help. Okay, let's do it at this song. Let's use this section of the song to do that.
I started talking to you about acting because it was funny. I was doing this whole like deep dive into your career and all this stuff, right? And I found, oh my God, she's been on, because you said in your bio somewhere that you had because of your work with Robert Randall and the Family Band.
Don't fight it, everybody calling my name. Come along, switcheroo. Jeremy calling me. Original recipe. Sweet peaches. Get wild now.
You wrote the success of that has led to things like working with Tracy Ullman on the Tracy Ullman show. Were you acting on, like, there are a couple of shows with your name?
Yeah, that Tracy Ullman was acting with dancing. You kind of roll from one into the next. Once you book a job with one, then choreographers or directors or producers start to see you, and then they're like, oh, we want to book her for this or want that. So Tracy Ullman was a recurring role. She did, I don't remember how many seasons she did, but it was like maybe 5 to 6 episodes, maybe 8 episodes, dancing and singing and acting. The people that I was working together with was one other girl and 2 guys. We were working with her in a pharmacy, and
So that was you, okay? Because
yeah,
it said pharmacy girl
yeah,
/ dancer. I was like,
yeah. That's
okay.
how that goes. Pharmacy girl.
I
Yeah, but
didn't,
it was
I didn't.
acting with dancing, and she was great. She was really awesome.
Okay, nice. Okay, and then so then I started to go down this thing, and I found some other television shows that had your name on it. But then I found this other actress who has exactly the same name as you, first and last name. Have you ever come across that?
No, it's impossible.
That's what I
I
thought.
just I just say that, but I know that when you look up my name, there's one situation where another female comes up, but there's no Ajantha Lijnse because Ajantha is a Sri Lankan name and Lijnse is a Dutch name. It was apparently when I went to a Captain America premiere in the Netherlands in Amsterdam with a co-star of mine from the Zevenprong, an actor. He was already famous. And that's where they took pictures of me and were like, okay, what's your name? And Tony mentioned that the person that is showcased on the picture that you see that comes up with my name is like like a Dutch actress that maybe was in that movie. And somehow they just messed up names.
Okay.
So yeah, she's definitely her name is not Ajantha Lijnse. She has a different name. I don't know what her name is, but they never corrected it, and I never was like, oh, I need to correct this. But probably I probably should figure out how to correct it.
And I'll just show the picture and say not Ajantha.
Yeah.
This
is not Ajantha. Yeah.
I did a YouTube short where Fanny Mendelssohn. There are lots of pictures on the internet of Felix Mendelssohn's wife, but it says Fanny Mendelssohn. Fanny and her husband spent a summer with Felix and his wife Cecile, whose image, by the way, is often used on Google as Fanny Mendelssohn.
Oh, really?
But it's not her.
That's hilarious.
Like, it's the wrong lady.
Wow.
Somebody made a mistake at one point, and then people copy that. They just go with it, right? But so I'll do that just so that somewhere on the internet it clarifies that mistake. Otherwise, people will keep doing that, and like because I'm speaking with you, I know that that's not another person with that name. But otherwise, I thought, and I thought maybe it seems like a very specific name to have two people. It seemed unlikely, but I wanted to ask you. So
yeah, no, I appreciate it.
All right. One thing, I sometimes partner podcasts with a friend of mine, Phil Yale, who does Phil tracks. And I learned something from Phil. He said when he interviews people, he asks, is there a question that I didn't ask you that you wish I had asked you?
I feel your question where you say about the Thunderbolts. Was there an experience about the Thunderbolts that was really good? And that technically was a question that I didn't expect, but that answered so many things of what I'm about. I don't think there's anything else left. I spoke about who I am. I spoke what my music is about, what I'm about as a person, and that it's if you talk about the music industry and behind the scenes, that women are not really represented in that. And I think I touched every topic that I wanted to talk about. I feel I covered everything, and your questions were great. I feel like our conversation went in a lot of different directions, even the food part.
I'm a huge foodie. I wasn't joking. I'm totally making that the crispy tofu thing.
I'm releasing a YouTube short every single weekday about food because I love food. It's not that I eat it all day, but I would like to. And if I was in Asia, I've traveled a lot to Asia because I was born in Sri Lanka, so I was fortunate enough to visit Sri Lanka, but also like Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand. Like, I love Asia. I think it's amazing, and I would eat that food every single day. So being able to share my food experiences, even if it's just for me, but be able to share it with the world, besides my music, that's just a different dimension. But I do one thing that I want to show, obviously.
Oh yeah, Binky.
He is with me every single time, and when I record, there are multiple meows in the recordings. Some recordings actually have a meow in the final product, because you can never keep this dude quiet. But so that might be the only thing that not a question that you didn't ask, but what I didn't show him. It is all about this cat. But he's my ride or die, and his name is Binky. Binky, hi to the world.
Hi, Binky. Well, I have to say, actually, I'm following Chef Mom now.
Oh.
My family originally is from Guyana. I was born in Canada, but my family's Guyanese, and my stepdad is Jamaican. So we grew up with a lot of different styles of. I mean, there's that food, obviously, but then I mean, in our family looks like the United Nations, you know, it's
That is so cool that you're saying that, because you know I have a sister. She lived pretty much her whole life in Spain, and her family is Spanish. And then
Mm.
my brother married an American, and they have lived everywhere in India and Seattle and Paris. So it's like, it's just, I love different cultures and being able to connect with people from all around the world. Like I think it's so awesome that you reached out, that we were able to connect. Like I've never been to China. I would love to come one day and just explore that part of the world. So, you know, hopefully I can come to China one day soon too and
Hey,
experience
if you ever
that.
come, like, actually, I mean, just on this note, like after this chat, I'd really love to be able to keep in contact, and maybe like at some point, you know, after you've released your other single, or after you've released other singles after that, I'd love to do a follow-up chat at some point and see where you are at that point. All right. No, I have no other questions. I think we've I mean, we've covered way more than I expected. So, so I really appreciate your time. I appreciate, honestly, the time that you took to speak with me. And nobody else saw this, but the time that it took for us to arrange this time, like, you know, the texting back and forth and trying to arrange just the timetabling. So thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for, you know, exploring every topic that we discussed. I would love to do a follow-up. I would love to stay in touch. Also, even if it's just about the food. Yeah.
Thank you so much again.
Thank you. Have a great day. Great evening.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you later.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Good night.